You all know we generate many leads, or different businesses are generating different leads across the board, right? Let's say if you are into B2B business, you generate very high quality or high ticket size leads. Or let's say if you are into any sort of B2C customers as well, you may still want to, if you're selling a significant product, it's not about just a basic brick mortar kind of thing, right? Or very low value ticket. But if you're selling something to an organization, to an enterprise, or some sort of thing where you wanted to look at the prospect, the decision maker who's going to buy your product, who's going to take decision on your entire pitch. In that case, it becomes really important. You should know enough about your lead, right? Most of the time, when we let's say generate leads, you ask very minimalistic information. It's like just put your name, your email address, phone number, and what you need, right? So mostly either Google form, Facebook lead form, or your website lead form would always have these basic field. And why so? Because most of the time people wanted to keep lead cost as low as possible, and they want to capture more and more leads. The If you put more questions, if you try to grab more information, that lead may leave out your form in middle itself, right? And you don't have enough info about them. But what if with the basic information they put in there on those forms, you can enrich those information using some really good tool called Apollo, Apify, Perplexity. You can do a deep research, and from there you can also target that lead, prepare some pre-sales meeting notes, prepare some sort of a personalized email, and that can be sent across to this lead. Now imagine if a company's CTO or CMO or some sort of product manager, program manager is inquiring about product or your services. Then what if you know upfront about them, and you say, or you start the whole conversation with that good thing, right? Or you keep in mind what kind of person is this, what kind of, let's say, social media presence he has, what kind of employment history he had. And then if you start talking that, then the conversion chances are way more higher as compared to any person who goes just unprepared, or who's just talking about his own product, his own company, right? So it's, see, in B2B sales, or I would say in even every sales, it's generally called, it's not your product which is get sold. It is the person, it's the relationship or the experience gets sold first, and then product comes second, right? So it is very, very important. We should know about our people, like to whom we are going to talk, and how we can convert them into a paying customer, paying client. So that's what this automation is all about. Now, these are the tool Apollo, Apify, Perplexity. We are going to look at them one by one, each of these, and we'll see how we are going to build a basic use case. Obviously, there can be multiple versions of it. Okay, let's move on. So this entire process is going to have total 6 steps. The step number 1 is you capture a lead. Now that lead can be captured anywhere. It can be captured on Google form, it can be captured on the website form, or as I said, it can be captured on a Facebook lead form, right? So essentially, someone is submitting the information to ask or to inquire about your product, and they expect you to call back them, or you to reach out to them so they can talk more about their needs and get it fulfilled, right? That's what we called a lead, right? Someone is inquiring about us. Now, second step is, in this entire enrichment part, what we say, we go to a really good directory, or I would say really good database, which is called Apollo. And then we try to find out a little more information about that person, about his career, and about his businesses, right? So let's say, for example, myself, I worked so far in last 15 years with 4 companies. I started with Bloomberg, then I moved to Barclays Bank, then I founded one of the companies called M Square, and then I started Growstacks, right? So these 4 companies, what I worked with. Now, if someone knows how was my career journey, how experienced I am, what kind of, let's say, profile I do have, what kind of bio I have, then it will be way more easier for them to understand me and to know me, right? So Apollo is a platform which is nothing but a replica of all data fetched or extracted from LinkedIn, and they tried to enrich it. They tried to build more and more relationship around it, right? So that's where Apollo came in. They try to provide you a holistic database where you can go and find people's information. Then there is another platform called Apify. So once we grab information from Apollo about this person, we can go and look at Apify, one of the world's best scrapper platform, I would say. They can do almost any kind of scrapping. And there are more than 6,000 scrappers available on Apify. We are going to look at that. Now, based on this information which Apollo gave us, if we find that person's LinkedIn ID, or if we find their, let's say, Facebook, Instagram, those kind of handles, or those kind of channel IDs, we can easily scrap their latest activities from there, or their digital footprint from those platforms. And if we have that, combining with all information from Apollo, all information from our lead form, we can do some good analysis. We can do some good sort of visualization about this person, right? Then even on top of it, now you know Perplexity exists, and Perplexity can do deep research about any given topic. So in this case, we can give it a topic like this is our prospect. We can fetch details from Apollo, feed in over here, details from our lead form that can also be fed in over here. And then Perplexity can go run through across the internet, and it can try to figure out what and all connection or establishment or presence this person has over the internet. Now, after that, once we have all of these research as well as Apollo information, Apify information, and the lead information, we can generate a personalized email with a icebreaker for this person, right? So now imagine if someone is inquiring about you or about your product service, you send them a personalized email which directly resonate with that person. You may say, okay, thank you, I saw something about you, or I see you liked these kind of things, like, and we have something available for you, right? Now that makes a whole different impression as compared to a template based mail which says, okay, thank you, we received an inquiry, we'll get back to you in 24 hours. It doesn't make much sense, right? So we are going to generate this kind of an email, as well as we are also going to generate pre-sales meeting guidance notes, and that can be given for your sales team. So they also get to know, okay, which of who's this person and what kind of uh, presence or what kind of things I should be care about while I'm talking to this guy. So this is everything about today's use case. Now, first of all, I'll have to establish a lead capture form. You may say it can be anything. It can be, as I said, Google form. It can be any website lead form or something else. We are going with one of the basic, most easy to use thing, which is called a Google form, which can even embed into your websites, right? So just imagine or just visualize this like a lead capture form, nothing more than that. It may not be fancy, it's all good. So I'll say here, gross tax lead inquiry form, something like this, right? The same thing comes here. Then I can ask a couple of questions over here. So I'll say name of this person, his email address, and that too I can say only business emails. So when someone is filling it, they know they should supposed to fill only business emails, because I'm like, since we are into business, so I would expect someone other person who's having a business would inquiring about these services. Then I'll say phone number, that too with country code. Then I would like to ask them which city and country they belong from. And finally, okay, that's fine. And tell us more, tell us about your requirement. So this is going to be paragraph kind of thing. This is more than good. A basic lead form, which we all day in, day out interface, right? Or interact with. I'll go and publish it, right? So this becomes my first level form. Okay, that's done. Anyone with the link can respond, publish, shorten the link. And over here, we get to see our lead form. What I can do is I can share this lead form with all of you guys as well. So in case if you want to fill, and just try to fill it, anyone who has a good LinkedIn following, let's say more than 1,000 followers or something like that, you please fill it, because we are going to extract this data from Apollo, and Apollo mostly have people who are a little above the mark on LinkedIn. So it has those kind of people's data more available as compared to people who do not have much presence. Now, this was the first thing. Second, we have to establish Apollo. Now, you see here, this is called, now the Apollo is not the only one. There are plenty of them available. So there is something called clay.com. There's something called Hunter. Apollo is there. Then I think I forgot a couple of more names, but yeah, there are plenty of other platforms also available which provide this kind of service where you just go subscribe your thing, and then you get to see a complete large database which you can access from these platforms. Now, essentially, they also provide inherit lead enrichment things, inherit emails, and so many other things. But since we are building our own custom use case, we are not going to follow their infrastructure. But essentially, you can see this is how Apollo look like. Now, about their price, okay, have a look at here quickly. See, within Apollo, once you subscribe or once you get in there, you can find millions of contacts, and out of that, in case if you wanted to target any specific industry, a specific geography, a specific, let's say, seniority level, you can even filter out up to that and extract those people information. So plans are little expensive, but it is way more worth spending this. So Apollo give you this kind of pricing where they have free plan which gives you about 1,200 credits per month, and you can extract up to 1,200, I would say, emails from Apollo for different people, like 100 every month kind of, right? Then there's a basic plan, professional plan, and so on. Mostly people who are actively using it will generally go with this kind of a basic plan which costs $59 or $49 on a monthly or on an annual plan. right? And then there are APIs available, very well connected through like search for people, even to match or enrich people data. So those kind of API things. And even on free plan, APIs are accessible over here like this, right? So you can always go and test it. In case if your Apollo free plan doesn't is not working on a specific API endpoint, just try to write to their support and you will get proper support, or maybe just get those APIs enabled over there. So this is a common issue which people face. Sometimes API doesn't work on a specific account. Write to support and then they'll support you, or they'll enable that for you, right? So Apollo is there. I already got an account or API key, so I'm not like going to do sign up one more time. Then there is third platform which is called Apify. See, as I said, Apify is, I would say, world's largest scraper or a scraping platform. How their business model works, that's something really important to understand so that you can understand the pricing as well. Apify is a kind of ecosystem. It's a platform which provide all the server capability, IP addresses, and so many other things. Now, what they say, earlier they were only building scrappers themselves and providing to people. But later on, they realized they were not enough themselves. So they opened up the platform for developers to create developer lead, let's say any sort of a scrapper for custom needs here and there, anything can be developed. And those developer can sell these scrappers to various incoming customers on Apify, right? So Apify is a platform. Then there are developers who develop scrappers and the end consumer who come and hire or who come and rental those scrappers to do specific jobs. So see here, if you scroll down, it says TikTok scrapper, Google Map, Instagram, Facebook post, Amazon, any website can also be scrapped over here. It's a kind of universal scrapper and so on. And they say there are almost 6,000 plus scrappers available on this platform. So if I click on this, see, there are multiple categories: social media, AI, agents, lead generation, e-commerce, MCP server, news, real estate, plenty of them. So wherever APIs are not there, just go and try to use them. Now, each of these scrapper themselves are being built by multiple people. Like how we see like multiple application on a subject on Android. Let's say if you search water application, you get to see 15, 20, 50 or 100 applications over there, right? In the same way, multiple developers are coming in and they are developing things. So essentially, you can see here the person name who developed it, how many people actually or already used it, and what are the average ratings. These are again very important stuff, because when you try to scrap something, each of their data may be different. Someone is scrapping only 5 data points, someone is scrapping 10 data points, and so on. So that is one thing. Second part is you can go here, and there are two type of pricings working on Apify. One is you can go with a monthly renting price. So they say rent out one of the actor. Okay, by the way, scrappers are called actors on Apify. Like actors is a common term over there. So all of these scrappers are called actors. So you can rent out an actor on a monthly basis, or you can pay as you go, like pay based on the usage. So if I go here, for example, let's say Apollo scrapper, or someone said TikTok scrapper, Instagram scrapper. If I go with this, what it tells me, it may say this scrapper is available for, okay, it's pay as you go, or let's say pay per result. It says only $1.5 for 1,000 result. If you're trying to scrap, let's say post or profile or places, hashtag, photos, comments from Instagram, they'll charge you only 100 rupees or $1.5 for 1,000 result. In the same way, if you go back, let's say go with TikTok scrapper, this is also pay per event. It's fine. Let me go to pricing model, and there is something called rental, for example. So you can always figure out scrappers from here: pay per result, pay per event, pay per usage, or rental part. So this is someone called Curious Coder, and he developed an scrapper called LinkedIn Post Scrapper. If I click on this, what he's charging, $30 flat fee on a monthly basis, and there is some usage charge as well. So you can always figure out pricing like this, right? So it's very, very important. Always check out the rating of the scrapper. Then go here, check out the pricing, whatever suits you best. And the scrapper should be well established. That's another thing. Now, if I try to search something over here, I'll say LinkedIn Post Scrapper. LinkedIn Post. If I hit enter, see, plenty of things are coming up. Curious Coder is okay. Let me even remove all pricing models. Fine. It is done by this person. API Mastro is also doing this. Then there is something called Supreme Coder. Then furthermore, this company is also doing this. So plenty of other scrapper or let's say other developers have also built things over here. Pratik Dani is here and so on. So for one thing, you can find multiple options, and based upon user rating, based upon the parameters, based upon the output they give, you can choose one of the best suits your requirement. But almost everyone is doing the same job. Now, once we are at this point, why I'm telling you about Apify? Because in the whole agenda, when we say we are trying to gather more information about someone's LinkedIn profile, we got basic LinkedIn information from Apollo. But beyond this, I want to extract, let's say, their latest 10 posts or on maybe LinkedIn or Instagram and so on. So how I'm going to collect 10 latest post data about this person from LinkedIn? It's obviously using the scrapper. So if I go on any of these scrapper, what they say, whatever price is there, that's fine. But apart from that, they say, if you can provide me that person's LinkedIn company URL or the person's LinkedIn profile URL, then in that case, I can get you whole data or all the post of that person back into the scrapping results. So let's move on. So now over here, if we provide LinkedIn profile information or let's say any sort of LinkedIn URL to this scrapper, it say how many posts you want to scrap, how many pages you want to scrap, and then they can go ahead and scrap data for you. So this was the second thing. Third is Perplexity. You all already know, but in this case, we are going to use Perplexity API key. This is like something which come across the way when we are starting it. So you can see here there's something called API, and on the APIs, every other organization, every other AI is going to charge cost for API. Even though you get Perplexity Plus or Pro free of cost, still APIs are always billable in case of AI. So you have to enable the billing, and then you have to also go with API key generation. And then once those keys are ready, you can put it into make and then run through the entire flow. So that's there. And then we'll go furthermore next step where we are going to look at the personalized email and the pre-sales meeting notes creation. But for now, let's get back into our Google form. And I see already 4 responses came. So let me put one of my own information as well. I'll say my name is Manish. I'll put my mail address as manish@growstacks.com. Then over here, phone number can be, this is my phone number. So I'll just put in over here. City, country can be Mumbai, India. And here I can say my requirement. I want to automate my sales and marketing process. It can be anything. I want to buy a washing machine. I want to buy something else. I want to buy, or let's say, engage one of the HR recruitment agency and want to hire some good engineers. It can be any other requirement, right? But you just have to be precise about your stuff. So, sales market process to enhance the productivity and the revenue from the existing team, right? We are into education and technology segment, something like this. And then I simply click submit over here. So this was the first level. Now let's get back into make.com and let's start building a basic workflow to see or to get a visualization how this entire stuff can take shape, right? So from this point, I'll say my starting trigger point is a Google form when a lead submits the information. So here I go and I'll say Google Forms. Over here, if I click on this, there is something called watch response, right? So Google Form doesn't have any instant trigger. We can make it instant using webhooks. I'll tell you that later on. But essentially over here, we get watch response or watch responses in a Google Sheet. So see, when you try to fill a Google form over here, I get to see responses came. Now, currently, these people submitted things, but they are all stored into Google Form database. There is like not connected until yet with the sheets or with the Google Sheet, right? What I can do is I can simply click here, something called link to sheets, and all this data can combine together into a Google Sheet, as well as if I want to add any additional information to the sheet or to those leads, it can go along with that. So let's click on link to sheets. It'll ask me, do you want to create a new sheet or existing? I'll say go with a new one and let's create it. So clicked here and see here now a new Google Sheet automatically created, which has all of these information. It says gross tax lead inquiry form responses. So it was a form sheet and all the responses being captured over here. Even though I created a sheet, now anyone new person is going to fill it. It will keep on adding more and more inquiries over here, right? So the sheet will keep on loading. And all the questions that I asked are also synced up over here. If I add or remove any question from this particular form, then that question will be added to the next line as well. So essentially we have our basic database structured over here. In case if you want to use any other database, it can be Airtable, Monday.com, Typeform, or something else. It can go along with that as well. So you can, let's say, rebuild this use case along with Airtable or Monday.com or Notion or something else. But for now, since Google Sheet is common for all of you, I'm going to use Google Sheet, which is quite easily accessible. Okay, perfect. So we have put in all of these requirements over here. Now, a couple of phone numbers as well as country, city, and tell us about your requirement and other stuff. If I go next to it, what I'll say, I want to collect some information about this person based on his these basic details. So let's get back to make over here, and I'll start with watch responses from my Google Forms. Let's choose this. We are here. We can add a basic connection, fairly straightforward. So I go add connection. I may just do this step here. That's fine. And this doesn't require any additional information, any additional steps. If it would require, it can always showcase you over here itself. But for now, I'll say admin connection. Always try to put a date along with, so you get to know, okay, when this was done, if you're doing multiple connections along, and sign in with Google. Perfect. See, the connection is done. Fairly straightforward. Now here I don't have the form ID. So in case, either go over here and you can try to have this form ID from this string, or you can go back and simply click on search. And in the search, you can give the whole form name. It's called Gross Tax Lead Inquiry Form. Go back. I'll put the name over here, and automatically it's going to fetch that form ID into this particular bucket. See here, the form ID came over here. Now limit, I can put, let's say, 1 record limit, 2 record limits, all okay. I'll click save, and either I can choose manually who submitted forms, or let's try to grab the latest form over here. Okay, nothing came out. Choose where to start. See, if you're doing any testings across make, always if your trigger is a scheduled trigger, right click, say choose where to start, and you will get to see all of these entries over here. So in case if you want to pick things, you can always use any of the previous values. See, so this form was submitted at 1:02 p.m. If I choose answers, see here what comes out. It is done by Litesh Chaudhary, and then his answer text, his name, his city. So all of these are part of multiple data structure, and here the whole data structure comes along with multiple questions. See, it is a nested structure, like you have collection, inside collection, two more collections, and then there is an array. Inside that, there is a collection, and then finally there is a key and value. So Google Google Forms follow this kind of a structure. Now, based on this information, I wanted to get his LinkedIn profile or his LinkedIn information. And from where I'm going to get, it's going to come from essentially LinkedIn, or let's say the Apollo, which is having a large database. So if I click on this, I'll go and say, I'll go with Apollo. Now here we have inbuilt module of apollo.io, and this is a symbol of Apollo, right? So just notice that this Apollo has a different symbol or different logo. However, if you get in here, it gets this kind of it's an old symbol of Apollo. So let's choose this one. And now Apollo, I know Apollo has APIs to extract data or find people's information. But if you look at this particular module, it says create an account, update account, list account. Then there is something called contact. There's something called opportunity, task, and that's it. It does not have a specific module to get people's data out from Apollo. And otherwise, I'll show you quickly. There are more than 100 API endpoints are given by Apollo. They were not captured over here. Many of them are very, very important or very, very valuable. So what I can do is I can go to Apollo API documentation. See here, it came. And from there, I can figure out which API I want to work with. See, if I come like this is their developer hub or the entire, let's say, API documentation part. Here they say there are a couple of explore and test our endpoints. And over here, there's something called enrichment, right? So within this enrichment, there's something called people enrichment, bulk people enrichment, organization, and so on. Then there are plenty of other APIs available, accounts, deals, and so other things. But what we are interested in, something called people enrichment. So I'll click on this, and then I head over to this kind of a stuff. Now what it says use Apollo enrichment endpoint to enrich data for one person. To enrich data for bulk, you can go for 10 people in a single API call for the bulk enrichment part. The Apollo relies on the information you pass via endpoints parameter to identify correct person to enrich. See how we will say Apollo, which person I'm talking about. So it says you can provide us information of that person, what you are looking for, using these parameters. Let's say there is a first name, last name, person's name, email address, hash email, organization name, domain. So out of all of these information, Apollo can try to find out right match for you, but it may not be right match all the time. Let's say you are talking about Stephen Douglas, one of the person. Now there are, or there may be thousands of Stephen Douglas across the internet, or maybe within their own database as well. How will they identify? So if you can put along with the first name, last name, and the email address, this becomes a good combination to fetch out the right record. Or if you put their phone number, if you put the city, or maybe something about organization, their domain or something, it becomes more and more niche search as compared to a generic search. So always try to give it as much data as possible, but still, like since we have lead form having a couple of basic details, we can pass them See, it says if you provide more information about a person, Apollo is more likely to find a match within its database. If you have only general information like name without domain or email address, you might receive a response 200, but response will indicate no result have been enriched, because with the name they can't find out. They may have plenty of people. And alongside, it also says by default, this API is not going to give you the personal email and phone number. But in case if you wanted to get that person's personal phone number, email address, or something else, then you can say reveal personal phone number. One of the parameter should be marked as true, and reveal the personal email or phone number, both the parameters, to retrieve this thing. And for this part, Apollo charges some money. They go and ask you for the paid plan, right? So for now, we're not looking for these personal phone number, email ID, because we already have it through our lead form. What we're looking for about his employment journey, about that person's let's say basic structure, what all things they do, what position they are on, and those kind of stuff, right? So we are not very much interested about these phone number and email address. But essentially, this is what this API does. And one of the good aspect over here, always try to read API documentation so that you can get to see what are the limitations, what are the availability, scope, opportunity to work with this API. Otherwise, you may mislead, or you just go and copy this entire thing. It may not make much sense, right? You may fall short with any other hurdle here and there. Now, apart from this, as we say, there are query parameters. Whenever you get to see these kind of boxes, see, it's a playground. If you would just look at the API documentation, it would have been a written document without any action points from you. But in case, if you can define these query parameters over here, what this interface will do is essentially it can help you to build this whole URL over here like this, right? So even before, let's say, even before using this entire API documentation, this API endpoint, you will get to know how to put various parameters on this API. So for example, if I look at this whole API endpoint, what it says api.apollo.io/API version 1 people, then there's something called match. And then after a question mark, there are two parameters given over here. One is called reveal email address or reveal personal email is equal to false. Then there is a second parameter which says reveal phone number is equal to false, right? So only two parameters are given by default. But what if I give it a name over here? Let's say, anyways, I have to put someone's name, right? We are capturing a name of the person on our Google Forms. So if I say here Manish Mando, now see what happened? It automatically added one more parameter over here which says match, and then name is equal to Manish Mandot, right? So that's how you get to know how to put this particular variable into API request. Because if you have your information coming from Google Form, you will not get to know how to insert that information in the API call. Same way, if I try over here, I'll say manish@growstacks.com. Then how this endpoint is going to take it? It says email is equal to manish@growstacks.com, right? So this API endpoint is not asking you to provide any JSON payload. What it says, simply give me all the parameters into the URL, and then I'm going to return you everything back, right? So that's how you can have multiple or more and more stuff being populated into this URL itself. Now, if I copy this entire URL right from here, start to end until this point, because this is what I want into my Apollo API call module. So I go here, I'll say make an API call. Let's choose this. And over here, my connection is already done. So I have multiple connections over here. I'll choose this, the latest one I created, and I can paste this entire URL over here like this. Just try to understand this. We are going to discuss a little important concept here about API calls. Since we have opportunity, let's discuss it. By default, any API will have until this kind of endpoint, which says API Apollo IO version 1 people and match. In any API call, if you wanted to provide any of the parameters or any of the payload or any sort of data filters, you always need to have this kind of a question mark after your API endpoint gets end, right? So if I have to add more information, I have to add this question mark over here. And after that, I can put multiple parameters. So first parameter is name is equal to Manish, right? Until this point. Then if you have multiple information like this, you have to put an and over here. So you say name is equal to Manish Mandot and email is equal to growstacks.com. Then furthermore, there is another and reveal personal email or let's say phone number. I said false. I don't want that. See, so these many parameters are being added and they all become a single API request or a single URL when you try to fetch information from there. But essentially, this is how an API call is being structured. So right from here, this was the first API call, the core endpoint. Then there's a question mark to add multiple parameters. And here are the parameters like this. Multiple parameter can be segmented or differentiated using the and symbol. So now let me bridge all the gap over here. I'll say name is a variable coming from my Google sheet, Google form. So let's remove it. I'll say name will come from here, text answer, answer, and the value, right? Then email address is also going to come from email input, which is here, answer, and the email goes here. Now I can just combine everything. I can remove all the extra spaces. I'll say go back until this point. This is also fine. So we don't want to leave any unwanted spaces in middle of anything. Done. See, so how this is how the entire URL look like, which is Apollo and so and so. The name become variable, email also become variable, and here is something called and the entire reveal email address or particular phone number is false. Now, there is a small glitch in the API document. What it says this is supposed to be a post request. Post means when we are going to like add the method of API call, it says you're posting any information to Apollo. But that's not true. Somehow maybe their engineer would have done something mass or whatever, but they indicated this as a post call. However, when we try to use this method as post, it's going to fail. I tried it multiple times and that's not even true. We are trying to get some information, fetch some information from Apollo database. We are not trying to add anything to the database. So essentially, it's supposed to be a get method instead of a post one. But what they indicated, you should use post method. So that's not true. I know that's why we are directly going to use get method over here. So this is like essentially the basic of API call from Apollo. We don't need any other information. Content type application JSON is fine. And since it is an embedded module of Apify API call, sorry, Apollo API call itself, hence we don't have to put any other information. Now, if you look at this URL closely, and let me try to explain you one more important concept over here in terms of API call. Just put your 100% attention to this explanation. See, this is one sort of module which help us to make this API call. If I click save, it's all done. It says Apollo make an API call. And you already know there is another method called HTTP. If I say HTTP, I can go ahead and make an API call from here as well. Can any one of you tell me, I'm not expecting right answers by the way, but still, can anyone of you tell me why we did not use make an API call request from here, HTTP, instead of trying to do it from Apollo? See, both of them are API call only. It says make an API call using Apollo module or make a request, which is nothing but another API call right from here itself. We can put URL, method, and other things. In case of these modules, I told you earlier when we started Make, all of these applications are by default connected with API calls. What Make did is they gave it a flavor. So if I go here, I'll say Apollo, I get to see this direct API call or this direct module, which is nothing but backed by API. In terms of input and output, they give it a wrapper, or let's say some sort of a flavor, some sort of a structure. But since they did not cover everything, they gave it an API call, make an API call over here. In case of API call within a particular application, what it does, it has two advantages. Number one, it takes the same connection what you have done already in that application. So you don't have to provide authorization over and above your existing connection, right? So it's going to take authorization right from here itself. In case of HTTP, it's a generic module. It doesn't have any connection over here, right? So in that case, you always have to provide your API key, authorization token, or something else to use this one. That is one thing. Second is in case of, or second differentiation, I would say, in case of HTTP, you have to put always a full URL of that particular endpoint. But if you go here, Apollo, for example, what it says, it is already using multiple Apollo module, multiple API endpoints, and they already configured the latest version of Apollo over here, right? So it says enter a path relevant or relative to this particular endpoint. And what you have to do, only partial of this part, let's say a specific API endpoint which you want to access, you just have to enter over there, right? Nothing, not this entire URL. So essentially this URL is already covered within this entire Apollo module for other application as well. And for now, since you're using only second or third endpoint, which is not already covered, in that case, just provide us which endpoint you want to use after this point, and then your API call will be done. So two things, in case of HTTP, you have to even make this additional API key or something. Here connection is already there. and this part has the pre-built URL until this point, until this main guidance point, and the HTTP would require everything of this. In case if you would be working with HTTP module, then you have to build or you have to give the full URL, because HTTP does not have any pre-configuration of your specific endpoint or a specific base URL. So that's where you have to give everything. But in this case, you just have to start from here, V1 people, and this is more than good. Let's click save. Let me disconnect these two, not relevant. And over here, I can choose where to start, choose manually. I can go with one of the record, maybe this one. Let me see whose record is this. Okay, this is my record. That's fine. So let's go here. Right click one more time, choose where to start, choose this one, and let's say 1258, 1247. Let's take another record, someone who is not already there. See this. Okay, it took my record only. That's fine. See, it processed information quite quickly. It says status code is 200. That means API call was successful. 200 is a success code. 300, 400 series is a kind of error code. If I click on body, it says there is a person. And if I click on person as well, it get me all of these information. It says the first name, last name, LinkedIn URL of this person is over here, the complete end-to-end LinkedIn slash Manish Mandot. If I go and try to check it, it takes me to this LinkedIn profile, which is seems to be correct. Okay, I'm not sure why it's taking so much time today. Yeah, this is perfect. So this is my profile. If I go further down, it says here is the photo URL of this person. So in case you want to fetch image, you can also fetch image from this URL. Then it doesn't have currently Twitter, GitHub, or Facebook URL for me. If I would have provided, it can fetch those as well. Then it says, what is the headline of my profile? I'm saying helping small and medium businesses with AI and automation and so and so. My email address, which is like commonly available, hence it gave me. Otherwise, it could have charged credits if this was not there. Then is something called employment history. So I started my career from Bloomberg in 2011, worked until 2013 for almost 2 years there. Then I moved to Barclays Bank from 2013 2019. Barclays Bank here, the position, title, everything, right? Then here it goes with M Square, one of whom I founded, co-founder, 21 to 23. And then over here, I got into Gross Tax, founded in 2022, right? So all of these information are being available using employment history. Then I have organizations. So more and more detail about my specific organization where I'm currently working. So it says company name is Gross Tax, website is this, LinkedIn of the organization is this, Facebook URL, phone number is not there, language is not there, founded 22, logo, primary domain, site, NetX, and so many other things. Like it's working in information technology service. There are a couple of keywords that Gross Tax cover, automation, consulting, and so many things. So maybe a couple of more information can be captured about my particular organization as well. Then industry, sub-industry, like plenty of things. Even address is also coming out over here. Short description of Gross Tax. Then sub-organization, like nothing is there. Funding events, technology names, what all things we are working upon. I think a couple of them are mentioned, a couple of them may not write as well. It's an array of all the technologies, that's all fine. Organization chart is not available at this point. But yeah, essentially see here, plenty of things. I'm the head of the organization, say C-suite, founder, entrepreneurship is the function. So this much you can find out about any person using Apollo. And this could have been even more and more as compared to like I have limited presence or limited data. But if there is someone who's having good presence, you can get even more details about that person. So this much, as I said, can be fetched from LinkedIn. This was first part. Now, in this entire thing, what I found is I collected all of the LinkedIn stuff, and now I should add all of these information, additional information to my Google Sheet, because it's just a data enrichment of the lead what we get from the system, right? So I can go here and try to enrich the Google Sheet. So until this point, I got basic information. Now I can add a few more things. Let's say adding it, I'll say LinkedIn URL or LinkedIn profile link or something like this. Maybe I'll say LinkedIn profile link of this person. So now any of my sales team member is going to look at this entire database. They can have all of these information also embedded to them. Now, apart from this, what I got to know about this person's current designation, his address, his LinkedIn work history, and all of that. So I'll go and say LinkedIn work history, something like this. Then I can add a couple of more columns. Maybe what else we should capture. It can be current company where I'm working. Sorry, but then current title or designation. Then over here, I can add work address, I am trying to fetch all of these information right from our Apollo module over here. LinkedIn profile link, work history, current company, current title, and the work address. I could even fetch more technologies or something like that. So essentially, until now, let's go back to our sequence. And here I can say, I
Okay.
wanted to now over here within Google Sheet, this is a Google Sheet. And from where we started was a Google form. Now, this Google form doesn't have any raw number or nothing. So I had to first figure out what is the raw number to update this particular record, because Google form will not provide me any raw numbers. So let's go back here. And first I have to search this particular raw in Google Sheet. So I'll say, let's go with Google Sheet. I go here, I'll say search raw. Why to do search raw? Again, I'm telling you one more time, because we wanted to update all of these information to a given line, maybe over here, maybe here, maybe here, wherever, right? For that purpose, we need to know what is the raw number. Is it raw number 6, 4, 2, 1, whatever? So for that purpose, I'll say I wanted to fetch or I grab information from my Google Forms. Now that information is already fed into Google Sheet. The unique parameter over here can be a phone number or can be an email address, right? Either of these two things. So I will go ahead and try to search this person's line item or this person's record from this Google Sheet based on the email address. So I'll go back and I'll say, let's use a connection over here. I got 6 September connection. Then I will put the sheet name, which is nothing but gross tax lead inquiry form sheet. Then here is a sheet called form response 1. And here I will tell it from email address, the business email is equal to the email given on this form, right? So let's go here and value. So wherever the record says Manish Mandot gross tax and so on, right? So wherever the email address matches with the email submitted on form, get me that particular person record, right? So let's right click, let's choose where to start. Maybe I choose manually again, and let's pick this record, run this and see what happened. It is going to give me raw number as raw number 6 is the record ID for this particular person, which has to be updated with all the information coming from Apollo. So let me add one more module here and I'll say Google Sheets update raw. Now, in the same way, I'll go and try to figure out which sheet is there. So here it says gross tax lead inquiry submission or lead inquiry form responses. Now, what all things I want to add over here? So first is let's select the sheet. Raw number should come from the search module output, which is called raw number 6. Drag and drop. Then over here, I don't want to put any timestamp, name, email. They all are already there until column F. Then what is not there? LinkedIn profile link. So I'll choose this and I'll say, let me get LinkedIn profile link from Apollo output. So I go here. I'll say, here is this called LinkedIn profile link. That's put in like this. Then current company, I can scroll down and there is something called organization. So choose this. Here is the organization and I can drop it over here. Then there's something called title. I can simply choose title right from the organization detail again. Sorry, title supposed to come from here. Here is the title called founder at gross tax. Then work address. If I have something, that's fine. See, it says city, state, or this kind of formatted address, which is coming from Mumbai, Maharashtra, only this much. Or I can even choose my organization's address. So here is my current organization, and there's supposed to be address which we saw earlier. Okay, over here, office number 605, CTS, and so on. So organization raw address or this person's address, which is only available city, state, and country, I can choose either of them. Then over here, it says LinkedIn work history. So if I click on this, what is or where is the work history available? See here, it says employment history, and this is an array. If you read this, see it says there are two curly like two square brackets, or it says employment history, and then it is into an array format. Array means since there are multiple employment, I had multiple employment like about 4 different jobs. Because of that, it is carrying them into combined format as an array. Now, if I wanted to grab information from here, it show me only the first element, which is Bloomberg, but I want to get all 4 of them. For that purpose, make provided this array functionality, like functions over there. And anyways, I think tomorrow we'll try to grab these function part as well, because now we're getting into more and more mature use cases. So you should know about functions. But within array function CSS, functions for working with arrays, there is something called map, right? So I can say click map, and from this, I can map the complex array over here. Let's scroll down until this point. Employment history is my array over here. And out of this, what I wanted to get, I want to get the organization name, right? So here it says organization underscore name. I'll just have to type in this exact variable. Don't stress your mind. It's all fine because it's a little advanced function part, which we will cover either today or maybe in the next coming week. So what we tried is we are trying to map only organization name from this entire employment history array, right? Now, output of this map function is also going to be an array. So what we have to do, we'll have to combine this together into a proper string. So for that, I'll say I'm using join function, and what says join function is going to return your entire array into a string. A string means kind of a multiple return character or multiple words instead of an array, because array cannot be inserted into Google Sheet cell, right? A join function can. So, okay, Sandeep, I'll take your question. Give me a minute. So I'll say join and join them by a new line. So if I go here, there is a new line available. I may add two new lines, click OK, sorry, close the bracket and then done. Let me try to run it once and then I'll take your questions here. So choose where to start, choose manually. Since we are doing testing part, hence I'm going to just run it over here from the previous data. Let's click run once and see what happens over here. Perfect. See, so with this particular record, I get to see my own LinkedIn profile, all the organization I work with, Growth Stacks, M Square, Barclays, and Bloomberg. And then current company is this, current designation is this, and the current work address is this. So until this point, we got data from Apollo. Now, I wanted to research a little bit more about this person. What I'll say, I got his LinkedIn profile. Why not to extract, let's say, his 10 or 5 latest LinkedIn posts, which I can talk about during my conversation with this person. Now, how that can run, we saw Apify over here. And Apify is something which doesn't have any database. It's a pure scrapper. If you ask it, okay, Apify, go ahead and get me this data, it will actually go to LinkedIn and will give you live data from LinkedIn itself, right? So over here, it says LinkedIn profile post scrapper, one of the scrapper that we saw earlier. It is developed by something called API Mastro. There is $5 for 1,000 result kind of pricing. So if you extract one post, it is going to charge you 5 divided by 1,000, maybe 5 cents or whatever price is there. Now, once you create account with Apify, the good thing is they give you $5 of credit free every month. So it says $5 to spend on your Apify actors on monthly basis. Some computers there, like how much server capacity they are allocating you for these things, community support, no Wi-Fi store, and so on. Discounts and nothing is available. That's fine. Otherwise, the regular scrapper start from $35 a month or $39 on a monthly billing kind of thing. Then within Apify, we can go to something called console. Once you create your account, you can go to console, and console has a complete playground where you can go play with these APIs or play with these scrappers. You can test results and so many more things can be done. So see here, currently I'm on a free plan, which says it's a $5 credit available. Limit resets on 28th of September after 6 days, right? Or 8 days somewhere. And currently I use $3.73 in total from the credit. Now, over here, you can go to, again, this Apify store. You can figure out your actor, or we already have something called LinkedIn post scrapper from a particular profile. Okay, this is a mask scrapper. We don't need that. Let's go back and I'll try LinkedIn post and let's try to figure out. See here, API Mastro. This one gives us some good result. $5 for 1,000 post, 1,000 results. Now, over here, what Apify says, it requires some basic input to run any scrapping job. Now, in this case, whenever you get into any scrapper, it will always say what kind of input is required. So if you're doing it manually, manual means if you're doing it on Apify interface, it says it's a manual scrap and you can give me a profile username or a profile URL. So let's say, for example, I give my profile URL over here and then, or I could have just given until this point called Manish Mandot, and this would be more than good. Okay, now give me which or how many pages you want to scrap. So I said only page one is fine. Pagination token not required as such. It's an optional value. How many results you want? I say, okay, I want one result, two result. I say, I want two results. And then I can even run the scrapper over here. So I'll say save and start. So let's see what gets out of this. It says starting run. And if you go to this log, you get to see it says actor pulling Docker image, then creating Docker container. It creates this Docker container or a small server inside Apify on real-time basis. Then it says it going to fetch this information. It was a successful, 2 post came out and pagination token is like this. Now, if I go to output, I get to see 2 post results coming out. It says author, whatever, full URL, then URL, pagination token, and so on. And over here, I get to see these 2 posts, incredible response, while everyone is rushing to build their entire marketing team and so on. If I click on this post, See what happens. It actually takes me to this real post that I posted 2 weeks ago while everyone is rushing to build their own things. GPT hired people and so on, right? Now, if I go back, I get to see the whole post content over here, right? Like this. So it is being scrapped by Apify. Now I could have gone beyond this. So I may say scrap all the comments, all the likes from this particular post, or give me more information about this post. So other scrapper can go even beyond this. Let's say click on states. Okay, wow, it's coming here. It says total reactions 126, total likes is 101, support 1, love 1, insights, and so on. Comments are 13, repost are 10. So these kind of information being extracted by Apify, posted at, so there are some information posted on first of this 2 weeks ago, edited, visible to anyone, everyone, timestamp is this. So these much information are being extracted by Apify from the real time or real life LinkedIn post. Now, this was a quick demonstration or a quick part of how we are doing it on the playground on the manual testing. If we have to do it on API, we have to follow a little different structure. So let's quickly build it. Now we identified this Apify scrapper over here. We identify how to work with this, and we did a manual run over here with this profile. But along with this, what I want is there is a see if you're going to work with API stuff, what happened? We go into make.com like this, and we'll say add a module called Apify. By default, it is available over here. And if I click on this, it get to see me couple of options over here. One of them is called run an actor. So essentially, when we do any click over here, when we say save and start, this is nothing but run actor to grab certain information or to the scrapping job. In the same way, we have a module over here within Apify, let's say application on make.com, which says run an actor. If I click on this, it will ask me to add connection. Fairly straightforward. I can click on add connection over here. I can choose connection type, which is Apify recommended, and I'll go with like maybe connection name. I'll say Apify V2 when I did 28th September, and then click save. So it's going to do in session authentication for me. I don't have to put any API key, nothing else. It'll happen automatically over here. So I choose this test account connection, and I'll say allow all the access of Apify to make.com. Now verifying connection, and this should be done. See here, the connection is done. Now it says search from actors. It says recently used actor. By default, it's coming like this. So I can choose, click on this, and all the actors that I used on my Apify account, they can come like this. So here we recently used something called LinkedIn profile post scrapper. So let's choose this, and then it will automatically get me this kind of a JSON where I have to provide some basic information. It's first asking me, give me the username. Now, what is the username? It can be username that we have put in over here, and in two options. Either I can give full link, see it says profile username, or the URL. I have both the options. Since I'm getting the full URL, so instead of Satya Nadella over here, I can map the full URL, which is coming from Apollo output. So let's go down and click on person, and there is something called LinkedIn URL, right? So I can simply click on this and it will be added over here. Then it says how many page you want to scrap. So I say only one page, and their limit, I don't want to go with 100 posts. I just want to go with the latest 5. So I can choose 5 posts I want to get from this system. Then maximum charge result, it's by default blank. It's all fine because there is no difference between charge and not charge result at this point. So I'll go 5 is fine. I'm not going to put anything over here. Then there is something called run synchronously. If I shown you, if you remember, when we did this run, a kind of test run over here, this was the latest one, 20th September. If I click on this, I shown you the whole log. And what this log does, it started at this particular point in time. It created Docker container, started Docker container, did all these steps, and finally tried to or successfully scrap those two post data. There was a time difference. If you closely look at this, see it started somewhere at 2802 and completed at 2807. Since there were only two posts, it did the whole job really fast in just 5 seconds. But imagine if I say grab me 100 posts. Now, in that case, it may take a couple of minutes as well, right? And by that time, the whole automation scenario, what it says, the whole automation scenario can get stuck on this particular module itself. So it gives us an option. It says run synchronously or yes or no. So if you say no, it will simply trigger this module and move forward to the next modules to complete the other jobs. If I say yes, in that case, it is going to wait until this actor finishes its own job and get me the results, right? So I'll say, yeah, I want to stop it here. I want to pause and say, okay, by the time actor is going to run all the results, I want to wait on this particular step. That means synchronous or asynchronous. So I'm saying run synchronously, get me all the result, and then only move forward with the data. So I simply said yes. And see here, there's explanation also given. Says the scenario will wait until the actor run is finished. That's what I want, right? Build, timeout, all of these things are fine. I don't want to configure any of them. So I just had to map this username on this point. Now, if you one more time look at this closely, what it says, this whole log was done, there was a run, and you see at the top there is something called a run ID as well. But when the output comes out, see what Apify says, they store all the scrapping output into a table which is associated with each run. Just try to listen this one more time. Let's say if I'm doing a scrapping job, I say scrap maybe 5 posts from Manish LinkedIn profile, then scrap 5 more posts from Abhishek's LinkedIn profile and someone else. Now, how Epify will remember which profile or which particular job gave it what result? So what they do, whenever do any job of scrapping, they create a small database within Epify and then they store all the outputs over there. So if I go back, see, there are multiple runs like this. So I, let's say, triggered 5 posts yesterday, 5 posts earlier, and so on. So all of these runs happened and their respective task or their respective database were created. So if I click on this, you get to see this output and these two modules or these two lines over here. In the same way, when this Apify is going to run this whole job, what it will do, it will not directly give me the result. As soon as the job gets started, it automatically create a small table, a small database within Apify, and that database ID will come as an output of this module. And then once the run is completed, I have to add another Apify module to grab the data into make.com. So there is a module called get database item or get dataset items. This is what the dataset or the output prepared by Apify, which I can get inside make.com. So if I click on this, it will going to ask me the dataset ID. How I'm going to get this? If I click on this one, see here it says run an actor was the previous module just before this. And if I scroll down, there is something called default dataset ID over here. So I can simply drag and drop this, right? And I said, give me a clean output, give me a JSON output, 100 is fine, offset, all of these basic values are good, and click save. So whenever this actor is going to run, it will produce the whole result into a dataset or into a database on Apify. And I have to go to Apify one more time and grab that result from Apify server, right? So that's what the whole thing happening over here. Now let's try to run it and let's see what happens. If I choose where to start one more time, choose manually, and I'll save my own record for testing or for quick reference purpose. See, this whole thing happened, and by default data is anyways going from Apollo, so that's not a big deal. But on the Apify, see, now it's taking time to run 5 posts, and the output of this particular one says I just provided my username or the profile link. The output of this says status succeeded, meta, whatever these things, and there is something called default dataset ID over here, right? There is no information coming out from this particular module. It is just showing me that run was done. When I look at this data set, which is generated by this run, this one has all the posts. So the post one is incredible response from last week masterclass and so on. This whole post along with comment interested in. Then second post over here, everyone's rushing to replace their marketing team. ChatGPT is hiring humans and so on, right? Then another post. See here, states are also available for this particular post. Author, who's the author, all the information over here. Media, in case if I provided any image along with this, that image is also being available over here and so on. This text post, found this email while scrolling by and made by modding and so. So this is how it scrapped all the post, and now all the content also came out over here inside make.com. Now, since I scrapped 5 posts, it is going to give me 5 different bundles. See here, total number of bundles are 5, right? And they all 5 representing one single post, like individual post, which are coming up from the LinkedIn profile. Now, I have to add this all post data into my Google Sheet, right? For the data structuring purpose. So let's go here and let's add one more column where I say latest LinkedIn posts, right? For this purpose, for this person, I'm going to grab latest LinkedIn post for this guy, and all the post data should come here. But the problem is this is only one single line, which has only one column to put information versus I'm getting 5 bundles out of here. So what I can do is I have to use one of the tool module, which is available over here, to aggregate all the text coming out from my this particular output. So I'll say tools, and there is something called text aggregator, which says aggregate multiple string into one single text. So let's choose this one, and where I can associate it like this. If I click on this, it is going to ask me, what is your source module from which you want to grab this data or you want to get this data? So I can click on this and I want to grab data from get dataset items. This is the one from where I want to aggregate multiple inputs. Then text goes here. Which text I want to combine? So I say I want to combine this post text. See here, as soon as I say, the text is coming out like this. And along with this, I can also say advanced setting. How do I want to differentiate between multiple lines? What is the raw separator? Because I'm getting 5 items. Will they become combined together as a paragraph? I say no, I don't want that. So I want to have a differentiator, some sort of a separator in middle of them. So I can say either new raw, a new tab, or other. I'll go with other. And I put a couple of more extra things to differentiate between the post. I'll show you how and what does it mean. Now within this text also, I just want to add a new line at the top and at the bottom. So I can say, go to this more functionality. One operator over here is new line and new line. And let me try to show you this whole thing one more time. Save anyways, it's all fine. And run this from start. Let's choose where to start manually. It'll be more visible, more understandable with the actual data. Let's run this. See, ideally, you should not run this from start to end all the time. Will in next session, we'll see how to even run it from this point or aggregate some data or put some hard values and so on. See, when I tried to scrap 5 posts from this person, what this module gave me, 5 different posts along with their all the post ID. It says posted on all the text, everything. And this long text is coming all the time for each of these posts, right? If I say I want to add all these 5 post data, this text into my Google Sheet, this is only one single column. I don't want to add like 5 over here or maybe 5 like this. I just say put everything together over here into one single bucket, into one single cell, right? So in this case, I want to combine all of those post text data into one single string, which can be put in over here. Now, how I can do this? Since there are 5 bundles, it is going to run 5 times after each of these modules. So let's say from this point, since 5 bundles are there, everything is going to run 5 times. That is one problem. Second is each of these bundles have their separate text. So what I tried is I used text aggregator. And what text aggregator does? It says, give me the source module from which you want to combine all the data. So I said the source module is my get dataset item. See here, this is something called get dataset item. So this is source. And then I said, I want to combine all the text data which is coming in from output of this particular module, right? And they should be separated by these kind of dashes and maybe 2 new lines upper and bottom. Now what it does, it is going to give me, see, total 5 inputs are here, but output has only one single bundle, right? And then if I click on this text, you get to see there is a long text about first post. Last week, I got response. Everything is good. Then dashes. Here's the second post. Then dashes. And here is the third post. This goes and the third post over here. So now this entire data combined together into only one single string, into only one single bundle. And that's the use of text aggregator. It aggregate text from any modules, multiple text into one single output. Now, if I go back, I'll say update a raw. I just go to Google Sheets, update a raw. And then let's choose things from here, which sheet I want to update. So I'll say gross tax lead inquiry sheet. Sheet name, I can put the form response one. Raw number over here is going to come from the search module, which we added a little long back. Here is the raw number. And now see, if I scroll down, 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 down until this, it says latest LinkedIn post, which is only a single column. So what I can do now, if I click here and I can simply add text to this one, right? So all the combined text which was coming in from here, from this module, the long text can be put in here directly without me doing anything, right? Without we handling 5 different modules, 5 different outputs, and so on. So that's what is happening through this entire step. Now, once this is done, I want to add one more step to do a little more research about this person. What is that? If you remember, it was about adding perplexity, right? Let me quickly rename all these ones. So starting out from here, we'll get to see incoming leads. Then Apollo is for enrich info using Apollo. Then over here, find lead raw number. Then over here, I can say update Apollo info in lead. Then over here, I'll say search 5 latest LinkedIn post. Then over here, I can add one more tag, which is get post content. Now, until this point, what we did, update a raw, and here we have inserted all the text post content into this. Now, the third part of this entire enrichment is about taking this whole thing to Perplexity, because we got enough information about this person, his LinkedIn ID, his employment history, couple of let's say his email address, phone number, name, his requirement, and so on. Now I can deploy Perplexity to do a further deep research. For this, I can simply go here. I'll try to search Perplexity, and it says create a chat completion. So let's go with this. And you all know, right? So Perplexity is powered by, I would say, AI powered with searches as well, internet searches, right? So in this case, Perplexity connection can be done fairly straightforward with an API key. And if I go here, there is, if you get into your perplexity.ai account, you get to see your account over here. And then within this, I have something called API. So if I click on API, there is furthermore API section at the bottom, and see here it says API key, API billing. So if I go to API billing, first of all, you have to add some money. So currently we got $11 already added over here. And then there is something called API keys. So let's click on this. We can create a new key, or we can use existing key. I'll say class demo key, create a key over here. And this latest key is created like this. I could simply copy it from here, go back to make.com, and I can put it, paste over here, and say admin connection 20th September. Let's click save. That's it. So this is how your Perplexity connection can be done within make.com. Important part is you should always add credits to this Perplexity account. Otherwise, this API is not going to work. For now, we'll provide you Perplexity API key. So no issues on that. Now, once you're done with this, we have model. So on the model, you can look out this. There are furthermore like Sonar, Sonar Pro, reasoning, deep research, and so on. Okay, so see here, there is something called Sonar Deep Research. This is what we want because it can take things to internet and do research about a given topic. So let's click on this. And now it is asking me to add message. So I can click on add message. I can put a content over here. So where I can say, let's say I'm going to provide you information about a particular person, and then you should get me a complete research about this guy. So I got a prompt somewhere. Let me try to figure out. I don't want to put time to just type in this whole thing. Okay. So for example, I got a pre-written prompt, something like this, where it says, hey, I have the following prospect information. I want to do a complete research about this person profile, what he does, what kind of interest the person has on internet presence, and so on. And he inquired to me about some of the services of my company. I'm also providing information that what he asked and what he's looking for. Your job is to do a complete research. See, this could have been much better than this, right? I just wrote it before this call itself. So see, while I get on the discovery call, what should I discuss with this person, and so on. And here are the prospect information. Now I can add a couple of variables over here. So I can say name of this person is coming from my first module over here, which is nothing but Google Forms. Then second part over here, I can put his email address as well. All of these information essentially. So I'll say his email is this. Maybe Perplexity can find something better on his email. Then his phone number also I'm putting. Just for the sake of providing as much as information I can, I'm putting more and more things over here. So I'll say answer value of this. Then I go and I'll say the city and country. It's fairly straightforward mapping. I hope you understand this. City and country goes here. I'll say text answer, answer, and value. Then his requirement text, what he submitted to me, is also being put in over here, value. Then I'll say this person's LinkedIn profile link. So if I scroll up, I get to see LinkedIn profile link from here. Then I'll say his current job title. That goes over here. His current organization, and so other things, right? I can go with current organization. If you remember, we picked it from organizations and the name of organization over here. Then I'll say, what else? His employment history. So I provided a couple of basic information, and then I can also say his latest, or maybe LinkedIn post doesn't make much sense. So I think I can skip it for now. But yeah, essentially we provided almost all the available information about this particular person. So Perplexity can go and research about this guy. Even I can add one more important stuff, which is current company website. His current company website is available right from our organization output, and this is the website link. Okay, done. Now role of this Perplexity can be a user, and that's it. Max token, temperature, everything is fine. I can simply click save. So this Perplexity is going to get us some results. And now the Perplexity result also should get into our Google Sheet. So I can add one more column here, and I'll say Perplexity research result. Perfect. And here I can add one more time, update a raw. Now let's click on this Google Sheet, update a raw. Or the best trick is I don't want to do all of these configurations again. I can delete this module. And a quick trick is you can right click on this and say clone. The clone is created, drag it over here, and this will be connected after this. Now what I have to do essentially, I just have to change the column level mapping. That's it. So sheet is already selected, raw number, sheet name, all of these are selected. All of these fields are already by blank, all good. And latest link post, I don't want to update this one. This time I want to update column M. Column M has this Perplexity research result. So I can go here, go to Perplexity choices, message, and the content, because I know how this is how the result is going to come. So until this point, we created like this entire path, this column M, and all good to go. Sometime you may not see this column name, like how we see latest LinkedIn post, so header of this column. If you don't see that, just scroll up, and then there is something called refresh. And this is always work with multiple modules. So if you have any configurable things within your database, you can click refresh and it can get latest value, latest column headers right from your database. See, now it came like this. I'll remove it. Perplexity research result in column M, and here's the result. I click save and then click save over here. Now let's try to run this one more time, the holistic stuff from start to end. I'm doing it with my own profile for now, but I'll take others as well once we are done with this whole automation use case. So let's run. And by this time, you see, we already had information until this point. Now it's supposed to get us these two important information about this guy. So let's check. Oh, wow. I think I forgot to add. Maybe it's strange. Perplexity is doing its own research. By the time, let's see what happened over here. Okay, text is blank. Why text is blank? Because it is taking a wrong LinkedIn profile of Manish Jain. See, sometime this may happen. So it took a complete wrong LinkedIn profile, which I think I had two profiles on LinkedIn. One is this one, and the second is other one. If I click on this, it may take me to no. So this time, even Apollo did a blunder or a small mess, and it is not giving us right results. That's fine. Perplexity is working, but let me stop it here because Perplexity results are not even going to correct. Let's run it one more time. Okay, let's stop. We'll have to choose the record, choose where to start, choose manually. And we may have to apply some sort of error handlers, some sort of exceptions as well, where we say if information is not coming properly from Apollo, or if it is going to give you blank result, in that case, how to handle this entire situation. See, it's not coming properly. All of these are good. See, so all the LinkedIn post also came out like this. And let me make it a little small. Yes, Sandeep, you want to say something? Done. See here, so all of these information along with all the post or the text of this different post, starting from here, differentiation, and then second post, third post, and so on. So plenty of things are already came. Now it is doing a perplexity research for this particular person. Perfect. See here, the perplexity did its job and it used how many? 55,000 tokens. That's not insane. I would say it's reasonable only. Cost can be about total cost of $0.228, which is approximately what 20-30 rupees. And what it gives us in output, all the choices, message, and here is the whole long message which Perplexity prepared for us to look at this particular person. Now it says this is a very specific query about where user want to like who do all of these things. We gave it some information, and based on that, it gathered multiple citations about me from internet. Then based on that, it created a whole structure. Let me plan the structure. It planned the structure. Everything goes here. And then here it says comprehensive research analysis about this person. See, starting seasoned entrepreneur, operating from intersection of businesses, automation, so and so, different things. His inquiries regarding sales and marketing automation, where dual expertise in automation are available, and so other things, right? Professional background and career trajectory. So it gave a complete detail about this as well. So starting from here and so on. So then current business operation and gross tax analysis. So my own company's gross tax, and it went and then did this kind of stuff as well. Then over here, it said education technology venture and portfolio. So couple of things over here about the education business, what we did earlier. Then over here, further down, industry expertise and technical competency. Then couple of things about market positioning and competitive advantage, landscape. So this much is already being done by Perplexity. It says business requirement analysis and opportunity assessment. So his inquiries regarding sales and marketing automation service is a strategic significant opportunity that align with your extensive experience in business automation and so on. And See, plenty of things are coming out. Even this would have some sort of yeah, okay, see here. Strategic recommendation for engagement. So, engaging with him requires a sophisticated approach that knowledge acknowledges his deep expertise into business automation while focusing on unique challenges he is facing into business and so and so. So I hope you can understand, right? It's plenty of things. Conclusion over here, and it may also give us some reference or some sort of intellectual data that how to talk about this person, right? So it's the whole stuff which Perplexity took from almost 15 to 20 different citations or 15 to 20 resources on internet. If I go at the top, there is something called citation, and it referred information from almost all of them, right? So that's what the use, or that's what the, let's say, reference of Perplexity's information and its own analysis. And this entire thing is being put in back onto this whole Google Sheet. Whatever you saw there, it's all coming up like this over here. We can always ask it to cut down or make it short, or maybe just focus upon the recommendation, conclusion, those kind of things, not to run over the whole details and everything. But yeah, essentially, we have these many information collected for this person right from various sources across internet. Now, what I can do is, as I said at the start, we're going to give all of these inputs to one of the, let's say, AI. It can be ChatGPT, it can be Claude or something else, and say, help me create a personalized email for this person, as well as pre-meeting notes. How should I talk to this person and what things I should prepare before I get into a meeting with him? So what I can do is I can add two more columns here. One is going to be a personalized email write-up, and another column where I say uh, pre-sales meeting notes. It's something like this. These two things I want for this person to come out using the data we collected. So let's go to make, and let's add maybe one more module on the same string, or since we already have this much data, I don't want to rerun everything again and again. What I can do is I can simply add a router over here, or maybe I can simply create one more automation scenario over here itself, where I say Google Sheet, search raw. See, if you're trying to build maybe these kind of small use cases within scenario just to run and see the test results, you can always start a new scenario clicking anywhere, double click. See, if I just remove it, let me try this. I just removed it. And if I double click anywhere else, it can help me to start a new automation sequence from here. So I'll say Google Sheet, which is my source data of everything, search raw, and immediately ask us, prior configure this module, you need to connect it to a scenario flow. The scenario flow is ending until this point over here. I don't want to connect it to that point. So what I can do, instead, I can move this trigger from this module to this module. And now this is not going to run anytime. This module is going to start a new scenario. And see, it is now configurable. It becomes configurable. So these are nitty-gritties of the platform itself, how you can quickly make things work within the same system or within the same interface. Gross tax, lead inquiry form submission. Then I can go here, responses, and maybe for now, I can simply filter out my own record just for the testing or visualization purpose. I can even give it my own name, so I can showcase you how it is going to look like. Done. Over here, let's click save. And if I run this automation from here, run the module only. Wow, it's going to give me 0 bundles. Why so? Oh, sorry. Instead of email, I just put in the LinkedIn profile. It was supposed to be this one. Click save and run. See here, I got all of the data which I have in that particular Google Sheet as the data for my things. Now, LinkedIn latest post is a long content, came like this. Same way, Perplexity also got a very long content over here. Now I can add another GPT or Claude or something else. So I'll go with, let's say, ChatGPT for now. Then I go with message, and here I can define a user role. This user role is going to be, here I'll tell it that I have data of one person, and then your job is to give me, like, analyze this whole data and get me a good personalized email, as well as I want to get me the proper full return notes before I get into a meeting with this guy. So I can go here, put everything, and then this prompt actually I already wrote, but again, nothing a prompt. It's a basic kind of requirement I set to GPT. This could have been a better prompt more than this. And here I can map all of the value which I mapped earlier to Perplexity. So let me go to Perplexity, try to reuse the work I have already done over there. So I'll say, here are the information name. Okay, it's better to go here itself. Or maybe let's try. At least I can pick the header, the first part of it. So I don't have to write these many things. Until this point, I can say, go to back to this GPT, put information over here. And now since there was no mapping from the previous modules, simply asking me to add name, I can remove. See, this is how smartly you can work. and it's fairly fast. You don't have to write things again and again and again. And his requirement text over here. Then I may not want to give it the LinkedIn profile, current job. Okay, current job title may not be, since I'm going to anyways give it Perplexity stuff. I'll remove his LinkedIn posts. This I can put right from the data we already collected, latest LinkedIn post. And over here, I'll say his profile research report from Perplexity, right? Something like this. And it goes over here, Perplexity one. Then input type is not an image details is not required, all good. I have to put second prompt where I'm going to ask it to give me the results into two structure, into a mappable JSON, which is one is called the personalized email, second is the pre-meeting sales notes or pre-sales meeting notes. So I go here, I'll say either user, assistant, developer, anything is fine. I'll go with a system instruction because I'm going to give it an standing instruction all the time. So I'll say return the output in the following JSON structure. Personalized email should go into this key value and pre-sales notes meeting should go with this key value a pair, right? We did already multiple times. Now I don't want to restrict it with the max number of tokens, simply removing it. Further down, I have to click on advanced setting and over here, I'll say response format should be JSON and parse JSON as well. So let's choose this and let's click save. Now, where the output will go, output supposed to get updated back into the same Google Sheet in column number, I think N and O. Personalized email will go here, meeting notes will go into column O. So I can add over here Google Sheet update raw here. And just one thing, see, we are repeatedly using Google Sheet because this is one of the easiest infra to use. But again, I'll tell you, it is not about Google Sheets. You can always use a CRM. The CRM can track multiple field, all these kind of information, and data can be enriched over there. So you don't have to rely on Google Sheet all the time. Raw number is going to come from here. Here's the raw number. Then I can go down at the bottom and here it says personalized email write-up, pre-sales meeting notes. But if I try to map it, see, there is nothing on the result. It says result is only result. I can't map it like this, right? What I can do, I asked it to give me a proper JSON output into two segments. One is called personalized email, second is called pre-sales meeting notes. But unless until I run this entire automation use case, it is not going to give me those results. So what I can do, I go back and let me see if, okay, everything is good. Go back and simply right click and run this module only. So only this part is going to work and it will ask me to provide information about all of these mappings that I have done because I'm saying run this module only. But since I'm not providing, I just want to get this data structure, I'll simply say okay and it will run without any of those information. But since I gave it an instruction that give me output into this predefined structure, it is now giving me output over here, personalized email and pre-sales meeting notes. See, like this. And it doesn't have much of the data because I did not provided any name, any city, nothing. So they all are coming like a placeholder. But still, my whole objective was to get this mapping so I can map these values into this particular column N and O. So if I click here, now see this result got personalized email and this result also got pre-sales meeting notes and click save. Now if I run this whole thing, all three modules, see what happens. Run once, it got this information, gave it to GPT and GPT is going to process and will update both of them into Google Sheet M and NO, and NO. Done. Everything is coming out perfect. See here on the personalized email write-up, what I got, let's try to check. I could have provided signature, a couple of other information, all good. But see here, it says subject exploring sales and marketing automation opportunity. Hi Manish, I came across your inquiry about automation sales and marketing to boost productivity and revenue. I was impressed by your deep expertise in automation and your leadership growth stacks. Given your background in these two, I believe it's a great opportunity to collaborate and so on. Would love to connect and discuss a couple of things. Now, this could have been a better prompt to include more personalized things over here. But essentially, now our whole agent or our whole this GPT knows what is the background of this person and it could refer a couple of things in a very short 3-line email over here. I could have provided the signature or maybe a couple of basic of my information and then it could have included them as well. Now here are the pre-sales meeting notes. Says prospect name is Manish, location, contact is like this person, this phone number, background and expertise, current opportunity, key discussion points in the meeting. So understand current sales and marketing workflow, identify pain points and bottlenecks. So these are notes or directions for the salesperson who's going to get into this meeting. Explore existing automation implementation, discuss multi-team coordination challenges and so on, identify KPIs, address requirement, delve into integration needs. Then engagement strategy should be like this. Expected outcome should be like this. So clear understanding of is specific sales and marketing automation, so and so. This could have also been way more better than this. But yeah, essentially you, Chaitanya, don't write on my screen. Okay. So essentially you get to see this whole short write-up about pre-sales meetings comes out like this, right? So this is what our end outcome of this whole automation looks like. And very easily, with every single inquiry coming in, your sales team is way more prepared as compared to they just go bare hand only with your product information.